What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and today we have an extremely special guest. He's a producer slash multi-instrumentalist. He's a musical director for Grammy-nominated duo Foreign Exchange. He's done musical scores for the Black Dynamite animated series and Sherman Showcase. He's got a jamming ass joint project that he did with Tall Black Guy entitled Abstractions. Make sure y'all check that album out. If you're not knowing, we got the Motor City's own Zoe up in the building. Zoe, what's good, bro?
Everything good, man. How are you?
Man, everything's good over here too.
For sure.
So I want to get into the Abstractions album real quick first. So first of all, how did you and Tall Black Guy get together?
It was kind of, I mean, we had kind of we were mutual fans of each other in the beginning. I think he had heard my stuff maybe like in the 2000s sometime. And I think at the top of like maybe 2010, 2011, somebody put me on to a jam that he did by Malice and Mario called Speed of Light. And it was one of them joints that I heard it. I was like, it was one of them joints that made me wish that I did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I got to hear more from this dude. And he ended up doing a remix of This Could Be the Night off of Sunstorm. And they put it on the Foreign Exchange remixes, the Reworks album. That was like 2013. And we started communicating just online. You know, at the time, I think he was living in the UK. And, you know, we didn't even meet face to face until like 4 years later.
Really?
In 2017 in DC. And met through his now fiance. And, you know, 2017, we kept in touch. We ain't do nothing until 2019. That's when we got in here, got in the studio, and you know, it was one of the things that was like, why we ain't do this earlier? So, you know, everything happens completely for a reason. And you know, 2019 was that time, and you know, it helped out for both of us in our musical lives and in our personal lives.
Man, that's good that y'all can link up and still it could be very enriching in more than one aspect. I dig it.
Yeah, and that's what people really don't understand a lot of times with artists. And you know, I know as fans, like we want this person and this person to collaborate. And you know, if you see somebody, your favorite artist, taking a picture with your favorite musician or something like that, like, yo man, y'all got to collaborate. But the thing is, like, behind the scenes, things have to be right. Like the chemistry that you hear on, you know, as a recording only comes through you know, through a proper relationship. So, you know, he and I, like, we would build, like he would come through, like, you know, we'd have breakfast, we break bread, we listen to some music, we talk about life stuff first and foremost. And, you know, we just got close as brothers. You know, he knows my daughter. He's met my family back home. You know, I know his son, you know, all that type of stuff, man. So, I mean, you know, for me, like, I always make the best music with people that I like and with people that I get along with. And, you know, that you have, you know, making music is a lot like, you know, keeping a relationship together. You know what I mean? Like it's very similar. So I think that, you know, like with Tall Black and with, you know, particularly with Fonte, because I mean, that's, you know, who I did this whole process with first. You know, it really makes a difference to me on these tracks too.
Yeah, man. And dog, thank you for putting out the music. That, man, I was jamming that Forefront album the day at work.
Oh, word.
Oh man, I got a soft spot for that Four on the Floor, man.
Oh, word. Thank you, man.
Oh.
Thank you, man.
So we're gonna get into the baseball talk now. So what were some of your earliest baseball memories, especially growing up in Detroit?
Some of my earliest baseball memories came through my mother. My mother's always she's always a big baseball fan. She was the one that got me into it. My father was always you know, the big football and boxing guy, which I love too. Like I just love sports. But you know, up to you know, my moms would always watch, my grandmother always watched, and my uncle always watched baseball. So like my mother's from, I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland, from Detroit, but I'm in Maryland. My mother's from Maryland, born and raised. My grandmother, you know, they lived in the same house up in Gaithersburg. up until she passed in 2019. So like when we would go visit my grandmother, she'd be watching the Orioles game. My uncle would be upstairs. He'd be watching the Orioles game. So I'm like, I got Orioles. Okay, cool. So when I go back home, Tigers are on. And then, you know, once we got cable, then it was Tigers, it was the Cubs on WGN, and it was the Braves on TBS. So, you know, I grew up watching basically three teams. But I mean, of course, the Tigers was closer to my heart because that's what, you know, if you're from Detroit, like it's Detroit sports. Like that's just what it is. There's some outliers here and there, but like if you're from Detroit, like it's Pistons, Tigers, Red Wings, you know what I'm saying, Lions. That's what it is. So but like my earliest memory as far as like playing it or like getting the bug was I think it was Easter of 86 or 87. My mom brought me some Topps baseball cards.
Yeah.
And you remember the big like baseball collectors joint that you could put with the separate slots that you could put the.
Yep, I had that too.
Right. So she got me one of those with the Topps baseball cards, and I think maybe like some I think it was like for the 86 season, 86, and maybe some for the 87 season. And like I'm looking at it and I'm looking on the back and it's like all these stats, all these numbers. Like I'm a numbers guy to this day in general because of baseball, because of statistics and all that stuff. Like if you ask anybody that's close to me, like I'm like Rain Man with numbers. So but yeah, that's like the first time I really got bit with the bug. Then after that, I was asking for like, you know, I need a baseball bat for Christmas. I want, you know, a glove. And my godfather who lived across the street, he ended up giving me his softball bat, this thing was huge. And we had 2 trees in the front yard. And so I would go outside and I would simulate like full baseball games out on this tree. So I didn't have no tee, I had no ball, no glove, no nothing, just a softball bat that's big as hell. And I'm hitting on this tree. And, you know, I've got these imaginary bases. So it's just me, just simulating, you know, I knew the whole Tigers lineup. So I'd be like, all right, leading off, you know, Lou Whitaker. All right, boom. And then I'm, you know, running. Okay, hits a double and then go right back. Like, and then there was a big chunk of the tree after a while that was just beat out. And, you know, I don't know how that did. I don't even know how we sold that house, like in hindsight. Because that thing was huge. Like even now, I think it just grew back.
Wow. I
think it just grew back, but you can still tell like there was something fishy going on with that. So finally my I think it was my godfather again that he ended up getting me a ball and a tee because he was like, you know, I was tired of seeing you tear that tree up outside. So he ended up getting me this ball, you know, with the retractable wire, you know, and all that. So I would simulate my games with the ball and tee. And then I started playing organized ball that same year. So I didn't even play T-ball, nothing like that. Like I went straight into just fast pitch. And I'm like confused because I'm like, you know, the ball I got is kind of soft. Like you mean the baseball is hard? And I'm like, I don't know, man. And you know, I ended up playing my first year. Like I was, I guess, a natural. And you know, it just kept going from there. So that was like 87. I think I started playing actually in 88.
Okay, so how long of an adjustment period did it take for you to get acclimated to hitting a baseball as opposed to a softball?
It didn't take no time at all.
Okay.
Thankfully. Yeah, it was kind of one of the things that I just kind of walked in and was actually good at and almost surprised myself. It was me and there was another kid on there, this cat named Josh, who like we were super cool. He ended up moving somewhere, and then we lost touch. But like we were like the stars, and it was crazy because I'm just like, you know, this is my first year, but this is a game that I'm fully in tune, like I'm fully locked in, and you know, I couldn't break away. I remember at that time I think that was around the time when I had actually taken a break from taking piano lessons, which it's crazy to tell that story now because, you know, baseball came in and just like whatever preoccupation with music I had went to the side real quick. and then you can catch me. I'm always outside. I'm always outside with this big ass softball bat and the ball and tee and playing until whenever. So that was kind of the start, if I'm remembering correctly.
Dope, dope. So at what point did you realize that you were that you had something, that you had a talent that a lot of your teammates didn't have?
I think that came when I was asked to play on a travel team.
Oh, yeah.
Because I knew that at that point, that had to have been like maybe 90, I think it was 91 when that first happened. So I was about 13. So I mean, I just knew that because not everybody got asked. So I'm on a team and they only took like 2 of us. And I'm like, oh, so that's okay. So we have something. Something is happening. Like something is happening. And back in that time, like I was playing, I was pitching and I was playing first base. Like that was what I did. That was basically what I did almost through high school. Despite my always being the fastest one on the team. Of course, back then when everything was very, very traditional. Your first baseman is not supposed to be stealing 30 and 40 bases a year.
Right.
So, it was my high school coach who was a scout for the Brewers, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And he was just kind of like, we trying to get you drafted and you're not going to get drafted at first base or pitching. So we got to get you in the outfield. So they put me in center field, and that's pretty much where I played the rest of my career.
Wow. And you literally led it into my next question without even knowing. I was going to ask you to talk about your high school career, because not only were you getting recruited by colleges, but you were also getting scouted by major league teams. And I just wanted to get your perspective from what that was like.
High school was interesting because I started off at one of the suburban schools at West Bloomfield High. I played there for 2 years. First year was, I think I was on the freshman squad, and we were cool. The second year, I think I was on varsity, if I'm not mistaken. But even then, like it wasn't scouts, knocking at my door type of thing. Really until we got to like summer league, summer ball. Because usually what happens, and I've seen this, and I've actually had talks with a couple of youngins about this in different sports, as far as like, when you're at like a suburban school or, like a dominantly white school, if you're a freshman, you're normally on the freshman team. If you're a sophomore, you're normally just on the JV team. Like they usually keep the varsity strictly for juniors and seniors. Whereas when I transferred, I ended up going to St. Martin de Porres, which is in the city, Detroit. Was 6 Mile and Schaefer it's since closed, but went to started going to de Porres, and they were basically like, yo, if you good enough to be on varsity, you're on varsity. And that was in all sports. That was in football, that was in basketball, that was in baseball.
Okay.
And I was like, I like that, because now you're putting together the best prospects and that type of thing. So they had our head coach, he was a scout, like I said, for the Brewers. Actually, our football coach had Toronto Blue Jays affiliation. So
wow, it
was really crazy. That de Porres is very much a powerhouse school in sports. Anybody from Detroit knows, we used to wipe folks the fuck out. But but like it really didn't start rolling until I got to de Porres, and they were like, we're gonna do this, and this, and this to get you drafted, or to give you the best chance at getting drafted, or to get you a scholarship, or both. And I'm like, cool. So I'm basically just following their lead. Our squad, it helped that our squad was crazy. The 2 years that I was at de Porres, we only lost 9 games. So we were 25-4 my junior year, and we were 30-5 my senior year.
Man, that was handling business.
We was handling business. And it was crazy because when I first got there, I was playing summer ball with a lot of these guys. We first met because we played summer ball against each other.
Okay.
And their Coach Ron Thompson, who was a legendary football coach in Detroit, he was one of the coaches on the opposing squad. And they approached my parents, and they were like, we need him for this tournament we're going to in Atlanta, Georgia. This was like August of '94, and they were like, would you want to put him on the team? And we talked about it, and we was like, yeah. So we ended up going down there. Like, some of those guys on that team, like, I'm still cool with to this day. Like, we still friends now. Went down there. That was my first time in Atlanta. I remember I had Southern Playalistic Cadillac music in the headphones, and
it's only right.
It's only right. Like, we riding through Atlanta, like, I'm understanding the album a little bit better. Like, it was really crazy. Got to bond with these cats, and we get back to Michigan, and we kind of joking, like, they kind of joking, like, yo, man, you gotta come to DP, man. You gotta come to the Pours. And I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. I remember we ended up starting the school year, because at the time I was also playing football, which it was what it was. Was playing football, was on the varsity squad, and was getting like some weird playing time, and my father wasn't happy about that, so he ended up making some calls, and we switched over to the Pours, and I switched over there September '94, and just got a bunch of lifelong friends, and that was probably the most fun I've ever had playing any sports, period. '94, '95, '96 at the Pours, like, super fun. All black squad. We would go in, and a lot of teams would look at us and be like, they ain't for real. Like, they probably some hoopers or just some football cats who just doing something in the off season, and we come in there and punish them. And I loved it, because we had a lot of dudes on that team who were ultra competitive, like I am, sore losers, like I am. Unfortunately, I passed that trait down to my daughter with that right now. But it was a lot of fun, and I ended up getting drafted in '96, almost what we had 2023, so almost 27 years to the day. I think it was like June 4th. I got drafted in the 13th round to Toronto Blue Jays.
Man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And
So
then
it's like I took a really roundabout way to get to where I am now. Music was always my first love, because it was always in the house. And then here comes baseball, and then I'm like, okay, music got to go to the side real quick. Because I mean, when you're a kid, like, you want to be outside, you want to be active, and you want to run around with your friends and all that kind of stuff.
yep.
And sitting down at the piano practicing scales and arpeggios, like, that wasn't a move as a third and fourth grader.
Right.
So, it was a thing. Like I said, again, everything happens for a reason, and I think that playing baseball at that level, at the college level, taught me a lot about being disciplined, and what it takes to now be an entrepreneur, to now be an independent musician, because I'm having to apply all of that right now. You have some times where I want to quit all this shit, and sometimes it's once a week. So, you know what I mean? But, like, you have to go back to those college days, and go back to the days where it's like, you gotta dig deep, and you gotta want more. Or, if you stop now, you never know what's around the corner for you, that type of thing.
And so what was it about Western Kentucky that drew you to them?
A full scholarship.
Fair enough, man. Go Hilltoppers.
Yeah, man. Nah, it was really that, man. Because baseball doesn't have a lot of money to offer. It's not like a big football school or big basketball school where they have, all these scholarships to offer kids. And, I felt like getting a full scholarship from a school meant that it was time to go. It was time to go there. Like, I felt like they were really showing their hand and showing that they were behind me. And I'd also on my visit, like I liked everybody I met. Met my future roommate there. Met another kid, another brother who like I'm cool with to this day. Like we're really tight. Like we actually just got up when we were in Oakland, because he's out that way. He and his wife came out on the show. So but yeah, Western was cool. It was a culture shock. Now I just remember, using a bunch of Sam's Club calling cards and calling back home to my friends, like, yo, man, these cats down here with like straw hats and shit with tops cut out of them. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now. It was really bugged out. But yeah, fun times, man. Like, college is one of those things that, you do and you love and you never want to do again.
Yeah, I feel you on that, bro. So now getting to your love of the Detroit Tigers. So what were some of your favorite Tigers moments?
Oh man, Ordonez, Game 6, 2006, ALCS, when he had the not only the walk-off home run to go to the World Series, but he also tied the game up 3-3 earlier on in the game against the Athletics. So he had two key home runs in that game and got us to the World Series. Did we get swept? Seems like every time we go to the World Series, we get swept. I think we lost like 4-1 or something like that. But that moment was crazy, and it was at home. That one was crazy. Of course, the Tigers winning the World Series in '84, and leading up to that, Gibson hitting the home run off of Goose Gossage, where the infamous Sparky Anderson, they don't want to walk you. That joint, that was crazy, because like me and my boy, we used to have the World Series, the World Championship VHS, and we would watch that thing over and over again. Same thing like when the Pistons won, like we watched the Bad Boys over and over. And so and I think just the '87 team in general, like I that's probably my favorite Tigers team. They didn't win. I think we got knocked out by the Twins that year in the championship series, but I love that team, because that team kind of reminds me of when I fell in love with baseball for real.
So who were some of your favorite Tigers players?
Number one was Chet Lemon, center fielder.
Wow, good call.
Yeah, because he played the game hard. Just like one of my favorite players is right behind you over your shoulder, Ricky Henderson. Like I modeled my game off of a bunch of different players. Chet Lemon was one of them, because I was like, yo, I didn't even know you could slide head first in the first base. And that's what he used to do all the time. Chet Lemon was one. Of course, Lou Whitaker, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Sweet Lou.
Yep. Alan Trammell, those two up the middle were crazy. Who else? Willie Hernandez. I liked him closing the games out. Cecil Fielder, of course.
Oh man.
Matter of fact, him hitting the home run out of
the stadium.
Out the stadium. That's one of my favorite moments as well. Another couple of moments, I actually got to play in Old Tiger Stadium twice.
Really?
Yeah, we would have our DePores we made it to the Catholic League championship twice, in '95 and '96, and when you get to the championship, you play at Tiger Stadium, and we played there twice and won twice.
Damn, that's dope, man.
So I got a lot of memories. I got a memory of actually trying out for the Tigers at Tiger Stadium and hitting one out of there.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was, it's so funny, like having this conversation. All these different memories are coming back, man.
Man, I tell you, a player who I used to like, that he just was Joel Zumaya. He was the closer, man.
Yes.
He just had gas, but it seemed like every other year he was blowing his elbow out, man. I felt so bad for him, because I used to love watching them close games for y'all.
Because like that, with the velocity that he threw at, and like you're not supposed to have that type of torque on your elbow or your shoulder. stuff. So, but I mean, when he was on, like he was unhittable, man.
Yeah. So who were some of your favorite non-Tigers players?
Oh man, let me try to go off the head. One of my top one was Andre Dawson
The
for the Cubs.
Hawk.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess I should say for the Expos and the Cubs. Dave Stewart was another one. Ricky Henderson, huge Ricky Henderson fan. My favorite of all time, probably Frank Thomas. That's where I get like, if you see my username Zo35 and all that stuff, that's because Frank Thomas wore 35. That's the number that I wore, and
Really?
that's where that comes from. Yep.
The Big Hurt, man.
So like my production company is called Chapter 3, Verse 5. Like all these 3 and 5 references, that's off of Frank Thomas. Like,
wow.
When I was younger, folks used to say I looked like him. I played first base like him. I used to walk around with a White Sox, when they had the black White Sox hat.
Yep.
I had one of them joints. You know, I was a big fan. And of course, Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh yeah, he's undeniable. Yeah. That swing, like, man.
It don't make no sense.
It's work of art.
Did you see the shots of him taking batting practice
with the USA team? Still got it.
Makes no sense, man.
That muscle memory is something else, boy.
It's super crazy, man. It's super crazy. Like I don't have a swing like Griffey's, but I did get back on the soft toss machine, and I think I posted it a few months ago, and it took a couple swings, but it came right back, and I was like, man, this is crazy. So, like, sports and music parallel so much, man. Like, you know, I always tell people, you know, if you see me at the keys or something like that, and I'm trying to figure something out, or, you know, figure a chord out or remember something, I don't look like this. I always look like this because of muscle memory.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Cool, man. So now we're going to get into the 5-question segment. So with this segment, the first and last question I ask every guest I have on here, and questions 2 through 4 are 100% random. So question number 1, what were the ideal items on Zoe's school lunch tray?
Oh, shit. Let's see. What years we talking? We talking elementary school?
Let's do high school.
High school. Okay. Anything pizza related. Pizza is a bad habit of mine. Yeah, anything pizza related, anything sandwich related. I think back then I was heavy into like Gatorade all the time, and, you know, all types of shit that would just give you crazy pimples, and red pop for all my Michigan folks.
Fago.
Yes, sir. Squirt. I was drinking a lot of Squirt and Sprite and Twister, and I wish I had that metabolism right now at 44. I don't.
Man, listen. Who you telling? I be looking at pictures of burgers on IG. I'm like, boy, if I could be 18 again,
bro. Look, man,
it's on.
It's wasted on the youth, bro. Because like now we know how to try to keep it together, and, you know, it just takes maximum effort.
Yes, in a real way. Question number 2. What was your walk-up music when you played in college, and what would it be if you played today?
My walk-up music when I played in college was Bring the Pain by Method Man.
Wow. Good call.
What would it be now? I don't know. It'd probably be something crazy like Blow the Whistle. Probably.
Let's go.
Blow the Whistle, so.
I love it. Question number 3. What was your first job?
Shoot, teaching at working at a baseball camp in the summer, and working with the kids, which I actually wouldn't mind doing that now. Like if I wasn't busy all the time with music, like I still would do something like that now.
Oh, so question number 4. What are your 3 favorite 30 for 30s?
Oh God. Oh, this would have been easy probably about 10 years ago. They got so many now. Does the OJ one count?
Yeah, we can count that one.
Okay, OJ is the one. That's number 1 for me, bar none. I love the way that they gave you a full spectrum of you know, his upbringing, how that ties into where he's from, and you know how they tie that into how, you know, how he believes in what he believes. Like, you know, I transcend race, which is, you know, some bullshit.
Yeah.
Um, and then how they tied in basically the atmosphere and the climate that was in the early 90s and the late 80s, particularly the early 90s, you know, with um the Rodney King incident and the riots and, you know, that type of thing, and how everything was just kind of coming to this head. And how they, you know, they didn't leave any stone unturned in that documentary. Of course, it was five parts, and, you know, they had a nice budget, but even with that, like I've seen that thing probably 5-6 different times, and I always pick up something new.
Yeah, I need to go back and revisit that one.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's incredible. And I think the same guy who did that is doing one on Barry Bonds, if I'm not mistaken.
Really now? Ooh.
Yep. My homeboy just hit me up on that last week. Let me see. The Benji one is another favorite.
I watched that one last night.
And the reason I say that is because when I first watched it, I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like, I knew of Benji, but I didn't know, you know, just the ins and outs. I didn't know how he got killed. I didn't know what was happening. But like the thing that made it a favorite of mine, or like a top one, is how they brought in you know, his killer.
Yeah.
And got his side. I was like, yo, I wasn't expecting that shit. Like,
I wasn't either.
Yeah, like I thought, you know, I thought he was locked up, or, you know, whatever. And then they talk. I was like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like, this is nuts. So that would probably be number 2. Number 3. I think I'm gonna go with the Lynn Bias one. I like that one. I remember we all remember when it happened. It was weird. Like, it was 86. I had always heard of cocaine and athletes and mixing and that type of thing, because, you know, at that time, that was when they just had the hearings with the baseball athletes, with like Keith Hernandez and Dave Parker and Lonnie Smith and these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you hear about it, but then like you actually seeing somebody die direct result of that. And, you know, to kind of see the story, to hear Brian Triple tell his side of the story and get his family side. And I'm like, yo, man, this is crazy. And, you know, it's all happening basically right in this area now. So it's really crazy. It was really crazy to watch that one. I still watch that one too. Honorable mention, I'm gonna say the Two Escobars.
That one's in my top 3. Easily.
Yeah, Two Escobars. That's hard body, man. The Two Escobars is
it's thorough.
Yes.
Question, you know, it's a bonus question. So this is question 4B, courtesy of friend of the podcast, Preach Jacobs.
Oh, what up, Preach?
He says, get him to talk about the story of creating Drop It Low for Jesus.
For those who don't know, Drop It Low for Jesus was a parody song that we myself and Fonte created for Sherman Showcase. Actually, we were on the music side. I'm not sure exactly who was on the writing side, because I definitely would want to credit them. I want to say maybe Diallo and Bashir. I'm not sure, but just to make sure that that's plain. But we were sent this idea, and, you know, we just on the phone, we laugh, and we like, yo, this shit is hilarious off top. Like, this is funny. And we was like, yo, we got to make it like a trap type joint. Like, we got to make it like a trap joint. It's like a trap gospel, but it's like, you know, it's gospel that's ratchet. It's like, you know, this some stuff you would never hear in the church. Maybe I would, you know, maybe I don't. Depending on what church you go to, you might hear some Drop It Low, but
True.
But it's so crazy because that song musically probably took me 10 to 15 minutes to make. It's only three or four chords.
Man.
Just put the drums together, played the joint, recorded it, sent it back. And I just remember we were like, yo, we gotta like have her talk to Jesus like she's with him, like that's her man, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so they added that part in, man, and they had the visual. I said, man, this shit is hilarious, yo. And what's funny is it's like probably every quarter, every quarter, or maybe even semi-annually, like I have to kind of go in and be like, yo, hey guys, this is a parody. It's not real. Cause you know how things it just gets passed around on the net, and it's just the video. And you see this video of, these young ladies in choir robes, and they just singing "Drop It Low" for Jesus. Man, it's hilarious. And like, I've seen pastors post it, and we've been condemned to hell 5 million times. And you got all these folks in there. You look at the comment section. I'm like, man, if y'all only knew, if y'all, we got so much information at our fingertips that we never use because we're so quick to just jump to stuff that isn't fact.
Yeah.
And it's really funny, man. And it's so crazy that a song that took me musically 10 to 15 minutes to do is probably my most known song, period, that people don't even know I did. Because I remember when it came out, and I'm like, like I did this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that one's always it's always a wild card. I remember at a couple shows, one show in particular in Dallas, we were doing "Drop It Low" for Jesus as introduction music for everybody on stage. And I just remember people leaving. And I'm looking at, me and Carmen Rogers were touring at the time. I'm looking at Carmen like, we doing our job. This music is moving people, whether it's moving people to the door or moving people within the venue, it's moving them to do something. So
it's evoking a response.
For sure.
And last question. What was the last thing that made you laugh uncontrollably?
Folks who know me know that I love low budget films. Just as much as I love documentaries, just as much as I love good movies, great music, I love low budget films. So like the masses discovering Tubi movies and things like that, like I've been there 20 years. I've already been there. And that's like when I'm here and it's just me and I'm chilling at night late, sometimes with an edible, I used to hop on like Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime will have the low budget movies. And now they got like Plex, and they've got Freebie, and I think Fawsome is another one, and Tubi. And so I go on Tubi, man. That is my straight up guilty pleasure. And I try to watch all the bad low budget movies I possibly can. And I think the last time I laughed uncontrollably was the other day. There was a clip from a Tubi movie, and the dude had this lady tied up, kidnapped or something. I don't even know. I got to find the movie so I can watch it all in context. Had her tied up, and he's got a gun pointed to her, and she's laughing at him. And some of y'all probably know what clip I'm talking about. She's just laughing at him, and she's bloody. And he's like going off like, it's not funny, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts shooting the gun. Instead of shooting the gun, just steadily shooting the gun, he's shooting the gun like this. And he's shooting like this, and she down like this. Man, shut the fuck out, bro. I'm like, yo, man, this can't, like, I love it. I love every bit of it. I don't go on Twitter or anything like bashing these movies or anything, because I'm just like, these folks they getting their bread, they getting their exposure, like whatever they're doing. Hats off to y'all, because at the end of it, everybody's a creator. So But you know, I'd be lying if I say I don't get great pleasure out of watching my Tubi movies.
And I can't remember who posted it on Twitter yesterday, but they said that who made the potato salad is on Tubi. I'm like, oh, I'm all in. I'm watching that as soon as I get home from work.
Yep, and I damn sure watched it a couple months ago. I was like, oh yeah, I've been looking for this.
That dinner table scene. Best thing in the history of American cinema. That back and forth between Ronaldo Ray and Clifton Powell.
So and that's another great dinner scene from Ronaldo Ray, because remember him in House Party 3 with he and Bernie Mac.
Yep.
So yeah. And Clifton Powell is the GOAT. Shout to Clifton Powell,
man.
Southeast zone.
OG. So if there's anything you want to plug or promote, the floor is yours.
Nothing too much. We got a couple shows coming up. We're gonna be in Baltimore Saturday the 17th at AFRAM Festival. We're gonna be in the Midwest, hitting up St. Louis on July the 3rd at City Winery, Chicago at City Winery on July 4th, and we go back home to Detroit on July 8th at L Club. That's basically the Abstractions homecoming show, which is going to be super crazy. We're going to have both of our families there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we pretty much close out the summer in Waterbury, Connecticut for the first time ever. We never played in Connecticut before, and that's at a festival called Soul Fest. And you know, in the meantime, be on the lookout for us coming back to Houston October 27th. We're going to be back in DC at the end of November, and we're going to be back in Oakland in December. So, you know, we getting some miles in out here.
Booked and busy, man. Can't be mad at that.
For sure.
And Zoe, once again, man, greatly appreciate you being on, man. Seriously, absolutely. This was a lot of fun. And if you're still listening, I appreciate your ears. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe to At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. And for Zoe and myself, till next time, y'all be good. 3 strikes.